The sun ain't even up yet, I'm thinking about the check. Wow. Woke up in the morning, bust down me a brick. Gave Metro $1 million, told him not to quit. He still on the zone 6, Gucci really rich. Put the keyboard in the kitchen, fuck some amazing grit. Jimmy Hitchman with the chip, man, I sold a lot of shit. Heard I kept them man allegedly, but I didn't bust it. The way they mixing up the medicine, I might just grow some drip. It's a bad bitch on the elevator, I'ma let her in. Let your hater be a motivator, I can't let you win. Evil genius, human calculator, stack it by the 10. Put the Lambo on the elevator, bring it to the den. Put the Mustang by the balcony, I'm fly like Peter Pan. I'm so glad they turned their back on me, cause we weren't really friends. And it ain't even 10, and I woke up on a 10. And I don't need no pen, now I don't need no pad. The sun ain't even up yet, I'm thinking about the check. Woke up in the morning, bust down me a brick. Gave Metro $1 million, told him not to quit. He still on the zone 6, Gucci really rich. Put the keyboard in the kitchen, fuck some amazing grits. Jimmy Hitchman with the chip, man, I sold a lot of shit. Heard I kept them man allegedly, but I didn't bust it. The way they mixing up the medicine, I might just grow some drip. Gotta keep them snipers with me, dawg. I got more enemies than 50, dawg. He popped a burger, said he nodding off. On higher look, they just might pop it off. 11 o'clock, she popped the nutter off. That bitch so bougie, yeah, she bad enough. That bitch so thick, you know she lit enough. It's Gucci, man, you know it's bricks involved. The sun ain't even up yet, I'm thinking about the chick. Woke up in the morning, bust down me a brick. Gave Metro $1 million, told him not to quit. He still on the zone 6, Gucci really rich. Put the keyboard in the kitchen, fuck some amazing grits. Jimmy Hitchman with the chip, man, I sold a lot of shit. Heard I kept them man allegedly, but I didn't bust it. The way they mixing up the medicine, I might just grow some drip.
Today, we're going to talk about the NFL winners from the weekend, winners for tonight, and of course, the squad ride. This is Behind the Lines. Cooper Kupp might be washed. 4 targets, no catches? The guy ran a half a marathon. I've seen 20 tweets about it this morning. The guy didn't do a single thing.
Yeah, that was a frustrating bagel for a lot of fantasy owners.
Is this what we've become down in Blacksburg? Just complacent, happy to be going about our day and being a moose shit program, celebrating a kid getting 1 point against North Carolina A&T? He better fucking score a point. You're playing North Carolina A&T. He's leading college football, Jovan, in every single statistical category for a wide receiver. Every single one. And you don't give that guy the award? Bullshit. Absolute bullshit. At the end of the day, you got to reward teams for winning fucking games. And if they're in a power conference, they're in a power conference. I'm tired of this big dick swinging contest between the SEC, Big 12, Big 10, and ACC. At the end of the day, you got to fucking reward winning. What's going on, chat? Happy BTL Monday, episode 611 piece. As always, hold the fry, joined by your 2 hosts, Krabs and Jovan, presented by SeatGeek. If you're going to any games this weekend, you're looking to buy some tickets, NBA, NHL, NFL, whatever it is, buy your tickets on SeatGeek. Use promo code Bookit10 and save yourself some coins on all your future purchases. Plug that code in, and every purchase you have down the line, you get 10% off. Okay, great discount, great deal. Type in code Bookit10, get a discount on SeatGeek. Jovan, how we doing? Happy Monday. I don't know if you noticed something behind me. We got a new studio, right behind me. It's not looking too sharp when it's zoomed in, but it'll do. And you guys will see it when we zoom out a little bit here. But Jovan, how we doing? Chat, we got a new studio, new week. Let's make some fucking coins.
Why not? I'm pretty happy, Krabs. After week 18, getting the playoffs, get to face your boys back in here for round 2. So
sure,
pretty excited.
Hey, it's hard to beat a team twice, even at home. We'll see how it goes.
It is.
We'll see how it goes. We'll talk about that here in a moment. I'm sure chat wants to hear us talk about that game 100%. Before we do, let's go over the recaps from this past weekend. We can pull up the squad ride from Friday and the sharp reports. I think the squad ride, Ohio State, that might have been the worst bet of all time.
We're leaving
Anybody
leaving
else?
the Buckeyes in 2024. Executive
Yeah,
decision.
I'm cool with that. You're not going to hear any qualms from me. Okay, we got
In all
BJ
sports.
Cheek coming in, resubbing. We got Aloha Bets coming in, resubbing. Love to see that. Yeah, Ohio State looked like they were throwing that game on purpose. Bruce Thornton looked like he was on one leg and did not care and had 10 turnovers, I think, in that game himself. That was incredible. Sharp report from Friday. Let's take a peep at that puppy. See how we did. 3-2 from me, Jovan. 2-3 from you. Nothing to write home about. And John Tanji, I cannot believe that didn't hit. They had like 90 points.
More than that.
He
They had
didn't
like
come through.
120. They were so good they didn't need him to. They started like
Oh,
actually doing the opposite defensively of what they've been doing all year, and that was why they gave up 120 points. So I mean, good for Wisconsin, not good for him though.
no, not good for John Tanji. Let's see if we can find some better squares for today. But the squares for the NFL weekend were pretty good, Jovan. We could pull up the NFL weekend preview and take a peep at that graphic and see how we did. The squares are great.
Wow.
Somebody call Wendy's. 4 for 4. Who's hungry?
Legacies.
Yeah, Russ, Terry doing job. I mean, incredible way to end that game. My God, from the Commanders, it almost felt like it was meant to be how that game ended. And then Jovan, your two goats coming through. I mean, nothing like it. Brian Thomas and Sam Laporta carrying their weight, doing jobs. Love to see it. Love to see it.
Tonsils weekend. Love to see that.
Yes, good. What else we got, Gootsy? Hail Mary. Oh God, fucking Vikings, man.
Bad org.
Unbelievable, dudes. Unbelievable. The Lions just win every week. They cover, they win every week. Enough said.
Yep.
Fading the Lions is bad business. And taking the Vikings on the roads in big and bad Detroit, that was a death wish. That one stung. We got all the way to the end, and the Vikings cost us coins. Well, the Lions did too. God, man, that game stunk as well. People were saying, oh my gosh, the Falcons and Commanders game last Sunday night, that's the most watched game in 5 years on Sunday Night Football, but wait till this coming weekend. I fucking bet. That game stunk. Okay, I wanted to fall asleep during it. No points, no fun, and no bets hit. Oh.
Sam Darnold, still Sam Darnold. Shocker.
Yep. Sam Darnold missing people by 10 feet. Yep. Can't make it
Not
up.
even missing people by 10 feet. He was just not throwing to wide open wide receivers. I didn't get it. I saw all the tweets about how open Addison was in the end zone like 4 times in the first half alone, and nothing.
Yeah, Jovan, looks like we saw some old Sam Darnold coming out in that game. Sucks to see. Terrible timing. Terrible timing. Gosh. Noda Crancher, that's a sharp play. We're going to talk about that in a moment. We do have a college football game today. Let me give you guys the breakdown. Okay, it might not be FBS, but we do have a college football game, Jovan. We've got the FCS championship, and I saw you tweeting about it. I'm sure you'll have a square or something in that game. We could talk about that. We've got NBA, NHL as well. College basketball slate today. It ain't much, but it's honest work. We're going to look at it, Jovan, and try to find some winners. But before we do and hop in and talk about the Sharp Report plays, the PrizePicks squares, do you want to hop in and talk a little bit about the wildcard lines and some of these games for this upcoming weekend? And we can go ahead and just rip the Band-Aid off, cut the shit, and talk about the Commanders and the Bucks first. I know it's Sunday night. I don't care. I can't wait about it anymore. All right, we got to get right to it. Jovan, round 2. All right. My Commanders coming down there to Tampa after we got kind of smoked in that first game of the season. But a lot has changed since then, Jovan. We look a lot better overall, although I wouldn't say Jane Daniels and co. looked a lot better before, some of the starters got pulled yesterday. But overall, the team has looked much better, and I'd say we're going to give you guys a better fight this time around on the road down there in Tampa. How are you feeling as a Bucks fan with the home game? Once again, Baker Mayfield leading you guys to the playoffs and a divisional win. Has you feeling about your Bucks?
Yeah, feeling good. It's weird because I still in the back of my head know just how bad the defense has been, and has the potential to be against Cliff. Whatever he cooks up, and Jane Daniels is certainly going to be a little more prepared second time around. But I don't know. I keep going back to the same thing because, a lot of talk is going to be about Jane Daniels against Baker round 2, just how good both the offenses have been. And as much as I can't stand Todd Bowles' defense a lot of the time, it is still Todd Bowles' defense in the playoffs against a rookie quarterback, which similar to I don't know, I guess Notre Dame, Georgia. We didn't hear, like we talked about, Stockton in his first start against Notre Dame defense very often. As bad as the Bucs defense has been, I think that's the one edge that they have, because they're going to blitz the hell out of him. And not that he's been terrible against the blitz, but it's a lot to deal with in your first playoff game as a rookie quarterback. So I feel all right. Definitely not comfortable, because it's hard to beat a team twice, like you said, especially when that first time was his first career game. But I'm excited to watch it.
Yep. Even as a, not even as a fan, but as a contrarian, as a guy who likes to bet stuff that doesn't make sense, a guy who likes to bet a lot of underdogs, can't lie to you, Jovan. I mean, the Commanders +3 is looking to be funny, especially since we've already lost to the Bucs one time this season. But like you said, this is the playoffs. It's a whole different ball game. And once it's a rookie QB stepping in there in front of a sold-out crowd down there in Tampa, it's still Todd Bowles' defense, and he'll figure out a way to at least stunt Jaden Daniels and slow him down. I don't think it'll be as high scoring of an affair as people are expecting. I know that total's pretty high. I think it's the highest total of the wild card weekend, and yep, I can confirm it is.
Yeah, it is.
And look, there will be points. There will be, a couple broken plays, I'm assuming, from both, sides and the receivers, because the secondaries on both these teams are not great, especially the Commanders secondary, in my opinion. The Bucs secondary is nothing to write home about either. But I think both quarterbacks will have some success at times. But yes, there will definitely be some nerves from the Commanders sides, 100% in Jane Daniels, first playoff game. But I'm feeling good, man. +3, looking great. I would love to see it get down to 2.5. That would be a perfect scenario. But even if it stays at +3, Jovan, I'll be all over the Commanders, and I think we have a chance to win this game. No other matchups I was feeling great about with this team. I wouldn't say they're limping into the playoffs, but they played better, a month ago and on. They looked much better in the middle of the season. But this is the matchup that I wanted. We'll see how it plays out. At least we have a chance, because your secondary is beatable, right? And what you guys do well, although I'm sure we'll see Bucky Irving and plenty of them, we really struggle at stopping the run. Is it going to be all, Bucky Irving in this game? Maybe it will be, and that's what they're going to try, and rush the ball down our throats. But I'm a little bit concerned about Bucky Irving having an absolute field day in this game, rushing up the middle. But, Jonathan Allen's back, and the D-line has looked at least serviceable of late. So maybe they can kind of, hold on for dear life, and it'll end up having to be Baker through the air and Mike Evans against Marshawn Lattimore, which I'm sure you're excited to see. This is like round 100 of that battle, right? Do we think Mike Evans this year might have the edge? He's feeling pretty confident after getting that 1,000 yards, and Marshawn Lattimore a little banged up as well. So maybe Mike gets the better of him this time, but we know how that typically goes. I think we got a chance, man. I really do. I think we got a pulse.
Definitely got a chance. I'll say I feel a lot less scared, partially because of what we saw on the field yesterday, which I think offensively that was the worst called game the Bucs have had all year, and it was just the really sloppiest performance I think overall that I've seen in quite some time. So the fact that they're coming off of that makes me feel a little more comfortable, similar to like last year when they had their win-and-in game against the Panthers. And granted, they played like Baker was super hurt, but it was 9-0, ugliest game possible. And they came back and they smoked the Eagles, probably the best they looked on offense all year. Not saying they're going to do that against the Commanders, but I feel a lot better that they're coming off of a game where they got a little bit of scare into them, to say the least.
Yeah, they did. You don't want them playing too good heading into the playoffs, right?
Yeah.
As we get some subbies coming in here from Canadian Goots. Love to see it. Thanks for the Riley Leonard Goats. Y'all deserve that Acho Joy's VIP treatment. Okay. W Goots for the resub. Big Dilf coming in, resubbing. Let's go Broncos. Yes, good to see the Broncos and Sean Payton standing on business, and it worked out. Nobody believed in him, and it panned out. So I always root for guys like that and stories like that. I'm with you, Big Dilf. Good to see the Broncos getting in the action. And Bo Nix is solid. 301 Chaco. What's up, Chalk? How we doing, Beast? Appreciate the subbies. And what do you know? Just as we're talking about subbies, our guy Eris comes in, gives out 5 subbies for the chat. Can we clap it up for our guy Eris real quick? Let's fucking go, dude. Yes.
The GOAT.
Yes. W's. Eris, you're the man. If you guys got blessed up right now, Churomania, Basic G, Not Sizzle, a couple other people as well, drop some W's in the chat. You just got a free subby from Aries 18. Love to see it. Took it with Brent coming in. Aries is a beast. Yes, he is. W subby took it with Brent. Love to see it. Chat is riled up. They're ready to attack on a Monday afternoon. Love to see it. We got Baumgartner Jackson coming in, resubbing as well. Jovan, 29 months. Dubs. Anybody else?
Carson.
Love to see it.
Carson B. Goated.
Love to see it. Carson B sneaking in there. Sure he can. He likes the Avs tonight, the Kraken, and the Canadians. Carson, we'll get to the NHL slate. Don't you worry. We'll spend some time on that this afternoon. Okay? Appreciate you guys. Happy Monday. Chief Tane coming in, dropping a resub as well for 22 months. Seasoned veteran. Let's go, Chief. Sure we can. Sure we can. Sure we can. We need a BTL night sweats. Definitely down to do some sweats this week. And I'll talk with Jovan and Gutsy about that after.
It's probably referring to that game.
Ooh.
Can tell you I'll be there.
Yeah, look, the tickets and the flights went up $1 million, so I got to talk with the squad about that one after this. But I got to figure it out. I got to figure out how to get down there. Has to be done. Krabs, your cam is mirrored. Yeah, do I need to flip that back?
Oh yeah, it is.
Can you? Because I can do it in my settings too, Goots. Just let me know. We got some more subbies coming in. No way SBR is coming in, dropping a 5U subway. Let's fucking go, dude.
Whales, dude.
Yes.
Dropping whales. Cashing full ladders on the feed, man. That's why we're taking SBR into 2025.
All right, Goots, I just turned it off, so we should be good. You let me know. Okay?
There you go.
We good now?
There you go.
Yeah, there's the crab light. Good thing I put it right behind my big-ass noggin. Okay. Dubs, gents. We appreciate the subbies. You guys are splooging today. SBR, you're a goat. We appreciate you, my man. And I know that Lions win just hit a little bit differently last night. So good for you. At least somebody got one. Okay. Pandemic. We got Not Major Matt coming in resubbing for 31 months. Let's go, Matt. Sure we can. Dubs. TJ McConnell today, Krabs. Peep squares. I expect a blowout. Adam, I'll keep that one back pocket when we circle back and talk about some NBA. For now, let's go ahead and look at some of these other matchups, Jovan, for the weekend, the wildcard games, real quick. Chargers in Houston. Initial thoughts here, Jovan. Chargers are laying 3 on the road. Isn't that something?
Yeah, it's definitely something. Definitely something. I mean, you didn't have to show me any matchup, really, to be wanting to fade the Texans because CJ Stroud's been terrible really all year, but especially the second half of the season. Offensive play calling is, I don't know, boring and not creative. So like now that you're facing a decent defense, that's going to, I don't know, be a really tough matchup for them. I don't really have any confidence that Sloke's going to be creative and think of something, craft of something that's going to work in this game. So yeah, I mean, it's definitely weird. The road favorites, a tad, at least that much of road favorites, saying a field goal. But I was going to fade the Texans in the first round, really, no matter who they played. So, yeah, I'm in.
It's got to be the Chargers. I hope they don't close at -2.5. You know, I hate that number, but even if they do, I'll be on the Chargers in some capacity there. What about the Steelers and the Ravens? Looks like Baltimore's up to -10. Steelers are limping into the playoffs. They've lost, 4 games in a row. They've looked like crap. Their offense looks dead. All that great Russ magic is kind of worn out. Do we think the Steelers, though, Jovan, is this when we buy low, Goots, put the earmuffs on, and take the points? Or do we just let this one splooge? The Ravens are winning. It just comes down to, by how many. Is it a touchdown? Is it 2? They're probably not losing that game. Are we getting too cute thinking about taking the Steelers here?
I don't think they're going to lose that game, but I do think they might not cover that game. Because it's the biggest line of championship weekend. And obviously, I mean, you couldn't get the Steelers at a lower point heading into the playoffs. So it seems like the sky is kind of falling out. I guess you could say the same for the Texans, but the sky is kind of falling out. They always make these games close, gross, and competitive. Kind of feels like a game that the Ravens eke out. They get scared a little bit in the first half and kind of pull away, but don't win by double digits.
Goots, you got any thoughts on this game? Steelers and Ravens?
Yeah, we're going to beat the shit out of them. Yeah. That's my thoughts. I wouldn't want to be in any other spot than ruining that city's hopes and dreams.
I mean, yeah. Look, they're going to win. Are they going to cover the 10? Maybe. Probably not, but they're going to win that game. So I'm happy for you, Goots. Your Ravens, they're in a great spot against a depleted Steelers team that's limping in. Yeah. I could see myself on that +10, though, and don't take it personally if I do, Gootsy, because that's not a bet for them to win outright. That's a bet for them to keep it, a ball game. A ball game.
Yeah.
What do you think, Jovan? If you had to take a side, are you going with Steelers or are you going with the Ravens?
Definitely taking Steelers. If I gun to my head, I had to take a side. I don't know if I'll get there by the time we get to.
I don't know if I'll play it. Yeah, that might just be a nasty under.
Yeah, what is that? Sunday night? That game is
Saturday night.
The Bucks is Sunday night. Yeah, that one's Saturday night.
Hey.
Might get there.
Yeah,
Side
that
note,
might just be a nasty under for me, but we'll see.
good for you.
Okay.
The Bucks are playing on primetime. I don't know that they've put together a good performance on primetime in a while outside of the or primetime at home at the very least, outside of the playoff game last year.
Well, let me ask you, because we've had some pretty good run-ins with the Bucks of late, right? We had the Taylor Heineke experiment when we almost won outright against Tom Brady. People forget that, and then he went on to win the Super Bowl, I'm pretty sure. When else have we played the Bucks in recent history in the playoffs? Was there another one? I feel like I'm missing one as well in the last like 5 or 10 years. Did we play the Bucks a second time? I'm trying to remember.
Don't think so.
Was that it? Just that one game?
In the playoffs, yeah.
In the playoffs? Okay. All right. Well, I do know that we always play the Bucks pretty well, no matter how good or bad we are.
Shout out Kirk Cousins.
Sure. All right. As a Chargers fan, typical choke spot for us. Yeah, it is, but I think that's crazy. They're laying 3 on the road to Houston, even with how bad Houston's looked. Couple more games here. Denver and Buffalo. I mean, that spread is a little bit tighter than I assumed it would be, although Denver's playing some good ball, and Buffalo's coming off a loss. So do we think it's, maybe the Broncos getting less than 10 here, Jovan? Or do we think Buffalo just rolls here once again?
I do not want to bet on Bo Nix and the Broncos, especially after, I know it's a game that doesn't matter because they're playing Carson Wentz, but they're the team that's coming into the playoffs kind of on the edge that's looked fantastic going into it. And now you get a really good Buffalo team on the road, so it seems kind of enticing to take the points. I mean, initially my head certainly goes to taking the Bills, especially I think weather is going to be a factor there. Not that there's some team from the South that's never experienced it before, but if you're Buffalo, you're a lot more suited for that, and I think the game plan will be a lot more suited to that for them. So give me Josh Allen.
All right. They might just roll. I mean, yeah, I probably don't want to have a ticket. Bo Nix, rookie in my back pocket against McDermott in that defense. Okay. That could be a nasty under. Backing both those teams and their defenses. What about Packers and Eagles? Looking at that line, I'm thinking maybe we don't see Jalen Hurts. Jordan Love, excuse me. Maybe no Jordan Love in this game, Jovan, or
I think he's fine, but I
know
the line's moved up a little bit, but I was shocked to see them open only 3.5 in Philly, and it's up to I think 4.5 now. Who knows the reasoning behind that, but that shocked me. That gave me, I know it's going to get steamed up to probably 5.5, maybe even higher by the time we get to kickoff, but that opener, I think, tells me all that the Packers might be a little live in the situation.
Well, you don't got to tell me twice. Fading the Eagles, sign me up. Team's a bunch of frauds.
Tell you what, I do think I will probably certainly get to the counter with, because if I thought the Packers were going to be pretty dead in this game, I don't think they would do much on offense, because that's when they've had, I mean, look at the Vikings game when they just had no answer on offense. Jordan Love looked terrible in the pocket. You're playing a really good defense. It's going to pressure you a ton. If they're going to be live, they're going to score. So I think I like points in that game. I think that game, I don't know if it follows a similar script to the Brazil game. I don't think there would be that many points and that much offense, but that's the one that I initially look at, and I'm definitely thinking points out of the wild card games.
Yeah, I like the Packers too. I'm with you. Maybe I'm biased. Maybe I just want to fade the Eagles.
Yeah,
the Packers are good luck.
Looking at the comments, I might have to get to the table with the Packers.
A lot of Eagles fans in the chat. Not surprised. All right. One more game, Jovan. This is Monday night, so we don't have to talk about it much, but any thoughts on Vikings laying 1.5 to the Rams? It's got to be the Rams, right?
Does it, Krabs?
Ooh.
Does it?
I feel like it does. And I feel like the magic might be over for the Vikings, but you're thinking maybe the Vikings on the road here stuck out to you a little bit more. Them opening up -2.
Not they shouldn't be a favorite, but I'm just thinking in my head, because the initial thought that I had, because I guess not just me, but a lot of our Bucks friends, we were talking about how badly that we wanted the Rams to lose yesterday and the Seahawks to win, so we could avoid playing the loser of Vikings Lions. And then initially in the middle of that game last night, we all sent the same exact text. Maybe we should have wanted the Vikings. This is the Sam Darnold of the Jets that we're seeing. He's still seeing ghosts. Everybody just saw that game. That was one of the most watched games. I don't have the numbers, but it was one of the most watched games, one of the most hyped up games of the entire season. And it was to close the season on primetime football where you saw Sam Darnold put up a horrendous performance. And now you have Matt Stafford and a Rams team that's rested after last week at home, and you can get them at plus chick. I don't know if there's a more, I don't want to say trap because it's not like the line should be anything else, but if there's an enticing plus money play on the entire wild card slate, especially being that it's the standalone game on its own day, its own slate, it's got to be that. That looks like the easiest play on the board by a long shot, I would say.
Yeah, and the Vikings haven't beaten the Rams since 2017. It's been a while.
Ain't that something?
That is something. Yeah, I mean, the Rams are coming off that loss, but does that even count as a loss? They played their backups and they almost won. So they're playing great right now. They look great. They've looked like one of the better teams in the NFL to end the season, right? So, all right, I could hear you out on the Vikings there. Maybe them opening up -2 is even weirder than them barely being favorites in this spot. Obviously, the Rams are going to get line respect. They're home. They're playing great. And we all just saw a dud from the Vikes. Okay. All right. Rams not beating the Vikings from a Lions fan. All right. We'll see. We'll see. And Jovan, yeah, I mean, I typically do like backing teams and squads coming off of Shug's Bagels and performances like the Vikings. So I could be convinced. All right. I think the plays that stand out the most here, obviously the Commanders for me, but I'll let that one splooge off to the sides. I think it's probably the Packers. It's probably your Vikings angle. And then, I mean, it's probably the Chargers on the road as favorites. It stick off the page right off the rip. Okay. Genuine question. Those Rams backups giving a game to the Broncos yesterday. I don't know. They look great though, man, but I don't know if you could say that. That's tough. All right.
Yeah.
Jovan, you want to look at Super Bowl odds real quick here before we move on to winners for today? Let's take a peek at these Super Bowl odds and see if anything's sticking out to you. Obviously, the Lions favorites, and with how they played this season, they probably deserve it. And then you've got the Chiefs hanging around right behind them. The Ravens, the Bills are lurking, the Eagles are lurking, and then there's a pretty big drop off, and you got the rest of the squads. I do have a plus 2,000 Commanders to win the Super Bowl ticket. Well, I could have waited now and gotten it at twice as good of odds, but we're here, and I'm letting that puppy ride out. We'll see how it goes. Jovan, any of these teams, though, maybe not a biased take, any teams that jump off the page to you looking at some of these odds for the Super Bowl?
Yeah. I wouldn't say any price specifically looks like super, super strange, but if I'm taking anybody, it's going to be either of the two seeds between the AFC and the NFC. So, I mean, I've kind of had the weird feeling about the Eagles all season. So I think if they do get past this game against the Packers, which I still think is a big question mark, I think it's definitely within the realm of possibility. I mean, the Bucs, if they win, God forbid it's the Commanders. I mean, no shot winning in Philly, respectfully, whether it's either of our teams. But on that side, if they can get past that game, I think they have not smooth sailing, but I think they match up so well against a lot of these other teams. And same goes for the Bills. I know it's tough to beat a team twice, especially if that team includes Patrick Mahomes, but that Buffalo team has something special too. So, I mean, if there's any team that I'm taking out of either side, it's both two seats. Okay.
All right. I think biases aside for me, I'm taking the Ravens and the Bills, both at plus 600, and I'm going about my day. And I'm, obviously those teams are going to face off in the AFC Championship.
Goots taking.
We know who Goots is probably taking. And honestly, I don't hate it this season. I think it's, they might be a team of destiny. I think it's the Ravens or the Bills. If I'm putting my biases to the side, those are the two teams I'm taking a future on. But I know they're both in the AFC, so that might not be smart. But I think it's one of those two teams that wins it this year. I don't think it's the Chiefs. No team's ever won it 3 years in a row. If they do it, I will tip cap. I will charge to the game. But I think we can all agree the Chiefs have not looked, as dangerous as they have in years past. And, typically I'd want to back them in that scenario. But I think their luck has maybe run out here. And I'd be shocked if they win 3 Super Bowls in a row. I mean, come on. It's got to be the Ravens or the Bills. It has to be.
I feel like you could. The one time where I'd probably bet the Chiefs is whatever. I guess it would be matchup dependent, but whoever the first game ends up being, or the first game where it seems pretty popular to bet against them, would probably be the one that I would take. Hopefully that doesn't end up being a team that I'd rather like to see them face in terms of losing, but I'll be interested to see the matchup they draw.
Okay. All right. Gosh, man. Goots, it's a good year to be a Ravens fan. And did we lose Jovan? Shit. We lost him, folks. All right. Well, I'll keep the party started here. I'll keep the party rolling. It's the Ravens plus 600. It's the Bills plus 650. Keep the Chiefs out of your futures. Keep the Lions out of your futures. They'll find a way to mess it up at some point. And I'm not really seeing any flyers on these teams who are a little juicier that I would take. Maybe the Packers. If you think they upset the Eagles in the first round, but I'd say you'd probably stick with the Ravens and the Bills, to be honest with you. That's what I would go with. Okay. Jovan will be back. Okay. He'll be back soon, guys. Don't worry. His laptop probably just exploded. Okay. Goots, you got any comments, thoughts, concerns besides the Ravens plus 600?
I mean, yeah, that's got to be the play. So that's all I got. I mean, I ain't worried. I'm excited.
Do you have a future locked in?
With Notre Dame, yeah.
Ooh, what the?
Yeah.
Two-piece?
Two-piece.
Okay.
Yeah.
That could pay.
That could.
That could pay. That could play.
Imagine I get two Krabs.
If anybody deserves it, if anybody's getting two Goods, it's you. Okay, it's
I would hope.
Yeah.
Be a great year. Then the Orioles come in with Albert Suarez pitching Game 7. You know, that'd be something, right?
Charlie Morton. Charlie Morton getting involved.
Game 7. Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Now that's a ratchet org.
Charlie Morton should move Nino, right?
Yeah.
That should help you win the World Series. Jesus.
Just Mike Elias, worst GM in the league.
Hey, chat. Two of the teams we talked about on the college football playoff preview pods, try saying that 5 times fast. The two teams we gave out, Ohio State and Notre Dame, are still lurking, still hanging around, still alive. I'd want to have a future on those two teams right now. They're looking sharp. Although I think we can all agree that Texas and that spread moving down from 6.5 to 5, 5.5, I'm probably going to have some coins on the Longhorns on the spread there. Maybe try to hedge, try to hit the middle there. I will have some coins, to say the least. Okay. Continue to sleep on Penn State. I will, Jake. Thank you. Yes. Good. Jovan, have you returned from your abyss? Sure. Here he comes, folks. There he is. Oh, nope. Can't wait to fade Charlie Morton and Camden in the Bronx. You guys are already in baseball mode. How? We're like 3 months out still. All right, there he is. W's, Jovan. Good work, my man. We'll get into the sharp report here in a moment. Gatesy, run that shit. Sure. All right, chat. Listen up. We got a couple plays we like for today. And I'll get it started out with some college basketball. Jovan, I'm taking the bait. I'm taking Rutgers at home at plus chicken. And look, I don't know, they got 2 stars on that team. Who knows if Dylan Harper's going to be playing in this game tonight, Jovan? I'm assuming not. And if that's the case, I like this bet even more. My contrarian brain, plus 1.5, down one of their stars against Wisconsin, who's red hot. They've won 3 in a row. I think it's Rutgers here at Jersey Mike's Arena. I think they get it done. I think they went outright. I'll take the plus 1.5 though, just in case there's any bullshit. But even without Dylan Harper in this game, and I'm hoping he doesn't play because that makes this line even weirder, I think Rutgers gets right here. They've been kind of up and down so far this season, but we know they got the talents. Ace Bailey is coming off a 40-point performance in that last game. Nobody on that Wisconsin team can cover him, and I think there could be some points in this one. Wouldn't be surprised if we see the game go over. But I like Rutgers in this game in the spots, barely getting any points at home, coming off a loss to Indiana on the road, but that was a given. And they've also lost to Princeton in their last 3 games as well. So after playing kind of solid 2 weeks ago or so, they're kind of trending downwards right now. I'm going to back Rutgers and buy low on them, and I'm going to sell high on Wisconsin coming off of 3 straight wins.
Yeah, I mean, you have really nothing that I can say against it. And I love betting against teams, whether it's taking Rutgers or taking just the under in the game, that are coming off of historic shooting performances. I think that I did that a couple times last week, but they just set, I believe, the Big Ten conference game record for most threes in a game. Wisconsin did, and they scored 120-ish points doing so. So, yeah, you fade those teams in their next games, no matter what the situation is.
Has to be done. Has to be done. All right, I got some college football in here. I hinted at it earlier, Jovan, but yes, there's some FCS action going on. And if there's football being played, so we're betting it, okay? No FBS talk today, chat, just FCS talk. And we're going to big and bad North Dakota State, who does have a couple losses this season. They're 13-2, I believe, against Montana State, Jovan, who is undefeated as they head into this championship tonight. It's going to be a good one. Both these teams are stacked. These are probably two of the best teams on paper in the FCS. So good to see them facing off in the championship. We get to see some good, football here tonight. But I'll take North Dakota State, who you can make the argument they shouldn't even be in this game anyways. They had a crazy walk-off touchdown last week against their rival, South Dakota State. Trey Lance's little brother is a wide receiver on North Dakota State. Crazy. He had a crazy touchdown at the end of that game to advance them. I think they're just a team of destiny, and they've never lost to Montana State. Montana State this year is undefeated. I'm fading a team that's undefeated in the championship. Has to be done. And I'll back the big and bad North Dakota State Bison, the best team in FCS history, to add another trophy to their fucking repertoire. They win every year. They're winning it again this year, and they're beating and knocking off undefeated Montana State. But I'll take the plus 3.5.
Sure. It's going to be a great game. I'm excited to watch that.
Right. Yeah, any thoughts on that game, at least as it comes to a side or total?
Yeah, I mean, I can't say I ever would really think about backing the undefeated perfect team, even though this is kind of the trilogy, I believe, of times they've played in meaningful games. And North Dakota State, I believe, is 2-0. One of those Tommy touchdowns for Montana State got kind of hurt, and they blew them out. So it was an asterisk on that one, but it's their third crack at them. So you would think they probably would get them when it's the best team they've had out of all those years. Just don't know if I can get myself there. It's kind of tough. So I probably lean with you, North Dakota State, and definitely down to talk about some of the squares and yours specifically that we have in that game. So yeah, I'm kind of with you.
Okay. One more play. I'll go ahead and wrap this up because it's a boring NBA under. It doesn't deserve our time, but I'll take the under in the Clippers and the T-Wolves game tonight. The T-Wolves look sharp, right? On paper, at least, or at first glance. They look like the sharp side in the NBA tonight. I thought about it, but I've gotten got by that T-Wolves team already a couple times this season, and I'm done losing coins on this Mooshit team. I think they're just riding that high from last season when they went on that crazy run in the postseason. They look great. They were firing on all cylinders. This season, they look off. They've lost 3 straight games in a row. The Clippers coming to town. They look like the sharp play on the books, and I'm not saying they don't win this game. I'd honestly lean that way. If I had to bet it, I would take them as a side, but I like the under in this game, and this is one of those spots where I care more about the opener for the total than I do where that total's at right now. Surely it's going to move up. All the stars involved in this game, the best game in the NBA tonight, late night game kind of, 8 p.m. Eastern. Surely that total's going to move up, and all the bets are all over the over as well, no pun intended. You got all the great players playing in this game tonight. Well, these great old players have sucked all season. Guys like James Harden, guys like Kawhi, these guys have not been themselves all year. And I think we could squeak in one more fade here, Jovan, on these guys and take the under in this game. And I thought that opener at 211.5 involving both these squads, pretty ridiculously low, if I could say so myself, especially considering the T-Wolves are coming off of 6 straight overs.
Yeah, the last one where, granted, they lost, but Anthony Edwards finally figured out how to play basketball again and dropped 53.
He's another one. I know he's not a veteran, but he's been playing like shit all year. Straight up.
Yes, really bad, especially lately until that game.
Yep. And I'll tell you what, if this game doesn't go into OT, I don't even know if it'll eclipse 200 points. So let's hope for no extra, free basketball in this one. I could see OT. That's the only way I see this play losing.
Yeah,
okay?
That would be not ideal, to say the least.
No. Yeah, I like the under in that one. And the PrizePicks board agrees with me. All these guys, their squares are not looking great, especially on the T-Wolves. All right, let's go to your place. I want to take a peep at your straight bets for today, Jovan. What are you cooking up for the peeps?
Starts on, I think it's Big Monday. I'm pretty sure this is one of the 2 games, but I couldn't tell you why. Houston is hosting TCU today, and they're 18.5-point favorites. You remember when I told you, we took it. We took South Alabama against them, and I told you it was going to be a pretty grinded out, close game. Same thing as that Texas State game, because South Alabama is really good at limiting shots at the rim, and they make you shoot over top of them. And TCU, even at that point when they're much healthier, can't shoot. So when you do that, you're going to play close games against TCU if you're an inferior opponent. Houston's playing them today. Kelvin Sampson's defense is playing them today, which they are the pinnacle of that, just with a really good defense to do it. So, it definitely hurts that at this point now, you're without Frankie Collins. You're going on the road to play Houston, and you're coming off of a big emotional win against Kansas State, where frankly, they didn't deserve to win that game in the slightest. They came through at the end. Coleman Hawkins was terrible defensively in like crunch time, and they got lucky on a last-second win. Shout out Noah Reynolds. Now you're going on the road 2 days later to play Houston's defense. You're going to have to shoot over top of them. Spoiler alert, TCU has no shooters, even though Wenzel is back in the lineup now. He's about the only guy that can do it. Noah Reynolds has been ridiculously inconsistent. Throughout like the couple games of Big 12 play so far, their only shreds of offense have been Vashon Ouellette, who's he's a shot creator, but he takes guys off the dribble and just hopes that he can throw up a stupid shot and it goes in. He went 6 for 16 against Kansas State. All of those were like weird, crafty layups off the dribble, just throwing random stuff up. That's been their offense. That's been their crutch. So it's been that. It's been the occasional like threes from the role players. It's been when Ernest Uday has a good match from the paint, which he does not against Houston. He's been the crutch of their offense. They've had a lot of alley-oop. That's been their offense, and he's been really good at that. Everything gets eliminated when you play this Houston defense. So it is a disaster of a matchup, not just the fact that Houston's defense is fantastic. We all know that, but if you're going to make them shoot over top of them to win this game or to keep this within 20 points, basically, TCU's not going to do it. So I am the total of this game is 128.5. I know I think it was last year, right? They played them in the Big 12 championship, and that was probably the worst, or Big 12 tournament. That was probably the worst offensive performance I've seen from TCU in quite some time. They had more shooters then than they do now. So I'm prepared to watch this game and laugh.
Yeah, you put up a 45 mark against Houston last time you played them. Jesus.
Yeah, it was bad.
TCU really and Kelvin Sampson, they do not go together very well.
Well, they did beat him last year in the regular season in Fort Worth. But again, that was a much better. I mean, they couldn't shoot last year, but they were significantly better shooting wise than they are this year, or at least they had more options. Now it's just kind of, again, it's a let off the dribble. If that doesn't work, they throw up a lob to Uday, and then it's the last second three from any of like the shooters, like Noah Reynolds or Wenzel or Micah Robinson. Against Houston, good luck.
Yeah, that one could get ugly. Like you said, Houston will be on their toes, knowing that they lost to this team, although on the road last year. But, they're not going to take the Frogs lightly in this matchup. And Houston just keeps on rolling, man. After a couple tough losses to start the season, Jovan, this team is looking really sharp. They're firing on all cylinders right now. Houston looks great. I don't hate to play one bit. Although you're fading your Frogs, it's probably a good look. Houston wins this game by 20+.
Yeah. Might get ugly. Might get really ugly.
What about the NBA play? You got the Spurs hanging around up here. What do you like about them tonight?
Big time, I guess, basketball brand stuff. Not really line stuff across the board. The Spurs, they've been playing like really good ball over the last handful of stuff. I've seen a lot of good like advanced analytics stuff about the Spurs for the last couple of weeks, outside of the fact that like Wemby is doing what Wemby does. He's been absolutely fantastic. The Bulls have been getting a little healthier too, and they're starting to play somewhat decent. I guess it's hard to say that when the sole loss in the stretch is the Wizards, but they've won 3 of 4. They've been playing pretty well, coming off a pretty big win as well. But the one thing that really hasn't changed for the Bulls is the way that they play on both sides of the ball. I mean, their transition defense is terrible. Their defense as a whole is terrible. And then on offense, they jack up a lot of threes. Shot selection is very questionable. And the one thing that I've seen about the Spurs for the last handful of weeks is just how much better they've gotten at defending the 3 ball. So if you're the Bulls, you're going to have to beat them from inside the arc in that game. That has not been the way that the Bulls have put together any good performances in the last couple of weeks, especially in that stretch of 3 of 4 that they've been winning against a couple of these teams. So I think this is the spot where you snag them. This is the spot where the Spurs, I guess, matchup-wise, have the best chance to really show out in this game. On the defensive side of the ball. And then when you play that Bulls defense, that unlocks everything for Wemby, that unlocks everything for Chris Paul to be the facilitator of the offense. It unlocks all of the role players that can spot up and shoot pretty much any 3 they want. It's a matchup heaven, I think, for the Spurs. Even on the road, going to be a competitive game, I assume, for quite a bit of it, but can't not take the Spurs.
I'll just go ahead and say it. This is my favorite play we've talked about yet today, and I was not expecting that whatsoever. An NBA play today? Come on. We got FCS championships going on. I'm not supposed to love this game, this play. Jovan, I do. The Spurs haven't beaten the Bulls in 2 years. Like this guy's saying right now in chat, Packy. I just checked the Carfax. They haven't beaten them in forever. It's been a long time. Yeah, they do it tonight. They're catching some respect. They're catching some steam on the road here, up from -1.5 to -3. Depends on where you look. They're coming off a loss to Denver. Surely they're going to lose to Denver. Before that, they were playing pretty good. So they played it back-to-back against Denver, back-to-back days. No way they win both those games. Come on. What are they, the fucking Warriors? No. You take what you can get with the Spurs. They're playing pretty good overall right now. The Bulls, you could say the same thing with them. They're playing better than people expect right this second. At least they have more wins than I would have thought off the rip. Come on.
And they just beat 19. Good point from our Bulls fan guy here. They just beat the Knicks, putting up 140 on Derrick Rose jersey retirement night. So, good emotional fade spot, I guess. Because how are you going to lose that game on D Rose retirement night against the Knicks, dude?
Yeah, that's fucked. You can't lose that game.
No,
it's got to be the Spurs.
They did go.
The Bulls have won 3 of their last 5, or 3 of their last 4. Excuse me. They're heating up. Is Josh Giddey really the point guard on that team?
They're kind of like point guard by committee, I guess, at this point.
Okay. All right. Yeah, it's got to be the Spurs on the road, catching some steam against a team they haven't beaten in a couple of years. Come on. Love that, Jovan. Real quick from chat, can we talk about this Ohio State bounce back tonight, Jake? No, we cannot. Like Jovan said, we are leaving Ohio State college basketball in 2024.
Hey, I didn't say college basketball.
Just overall?
All sports.
Okay. Well, looking at that Texas line creeping down, you're probably right. Okay. How do you feel about the Commanders +3 line? We did talk about it in the beginning, Nate Dogg. You can always go back and rewatch on YouTube if you missed the beginning as well. But me and Jovan talked about the Bucs-Mandos game for a little bit. I think that line's probably where it should be. I think if it was any fatter, I'd be concerned. If it was any shorter, I'd be doing backflips in my office. So it's probably where it should be, right? 3.5. That's kind of what I expected, right? They're kind of giving them a field goal at home, and they're going to let those 2 squads deke it out, Baker and JD5. Did you think that spread was right? Were you expecting to see the Bucs get a little more respect? It's still the Bucs, though. They don't get more respect.
I was fully prepared to be disappointed seeing a -2 because I've been noticing the last couple weeks. I think we brought it up when we were talking about the Cowboys game, which I guess ended up being a little different because Trey Lance was involved. But the Bucs went to Dallas and it was sus because they were sitting there -2.5, barely -3, and then it ended up creeping up to 3.5, and then the Commanders go there and they're touchdown favorites. So I was expecting there to be a little more market discrepancy a bit, and I guess we're not seeing it, so I was fully prepared for that, but we didn't get it, so I'm a little satisfied, I guess.
All right. Well, shit. Hoffy wants to talk about the ice. We'll get to that in a moment, my man. Let's talk about Jovan's last straight bet up here on the board. Is that Sela? Who is that?
That is Sela. That's probably full-on nastiest play of the day because they're playing UT Rio Grande Valley, who they're sneakily the darlings that nobody would talk about because they're being they've been playing fantastic. They're like the analytics kings as far as the unknown goes. They're obsessed with the Todd Golden style where they want to take a lot of threes and make opponents not shoot threes against them and just hurt them at the rim. I guess you could apply that to a lot of teams, but it's kind of his philosophy too. So the problem with this is C-Law, outside of the fact that they're +2.5, which is absurd. I don't know. I'm a little more tapped in, not as past years, but to Southland. So I know these respect that these teams get typically, and this is very, very odd seeing them only +2.5, which I guess you could kind of see by the naked eye looking at these two teams, but it's very odd. The thing is, there's a big time discrepancy in the styles of these two teams because, like I said, UT Rio Grande Valley, they want to shoot a ton of threes. They want to limit you from taking threes. Well, it's a good thing that Sela does not take threes, and they will not let you shoot threes either. So this is a perfect matchup for them to kind of be the spoiler at home. UT Rio Grande Valley also kind of benefits from the fact that they play a little small, which has been one of their big kind of I don't know, advantages over a lot of these teams. It helps with the play style that they have, just shooting a lot of threes and being that team that'll space you out and do whatever you want. That's exactly what Sela does. They don't shoot a lot of threes, but they play small. They're going to have like their one big rotating in and out with their rotations, but usually they're running a rotation where the tallest guy on the lineup is 6'6". So that works perfectly to counter everything that UT Rio Grande Valley is going to put out there on the floor. So this is a pretty good matchup for them, I think. And I think the line is telling you that, being the fact they're only 2.5 underdogs, 2.5 point underdogs at home, which is absolutely crazy. Sela always plays this little spoiler role, and they'll play tough because they also defend pretty well. So kind of buying in. This looks like the trap line of the day, even though people might not know it because they don't really know these teams, but it's absurd. I'll buy in. I'll take the bait. I'm taking Sela at home. Pull the upset.
Let me ask you this. Has UTRGV, has Rio Grande Valley been in the have they been in this conference for the last couple of years?
No. It's the
Okay,
first year
That's
they're
what
in
I
there.
thought. Because that was throwing me off. I'm like, why are they playing all these teams who are in the Southlands? And I guess they just joined it. This is their first year, like you just said. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, shit. Fuck the analytics. Let's go play some ball. Give me the +2.5. If you like him at +2.5, Jovan, you can get him at +3.5 right now on the blue book.
I figure any of like the short lines in the Southland don't really ever stay.
I mean, yeah, and if I was a betting man, I would assume that some people are probably logging in and they're probably taking UT Rio Grande Valley, either ML and a parlay with some other cake plays, or they're just laying it because it looks like one of the easiest plays on the slate without knowing anything about the teams. So,
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah, that's great play. For some reason, I still love that Spurs play a ton. I just feel it in my nads. That's a winner. But I really like that Sela play as well, and I'll be tailing that with you, hopefully a +3.5 after BTL.
Sure.
Right? Love it. You want to talk about some PrizePicks squares?
Why not?
Let's get to it. W. Gucci as well, killing it today. Let's talk about some PrizePicks squares. Let's talk about Cam Miller. Great name, great kids, great college football team in the FCS down there, or up there, I guess, North Dakota State. Cam Miller, he's their starting QB. If you look at what they've done all season, if you look at what they've done of late, kind of like very similar to Riley Leonard and Notre Dame. They have a dual threat quarterback who's a senior, a veteran, a guy who they got to keep safe and protect, and they can't run him the ball, 15 times during the regular season in games that don't matter because they're already crushing teams and they don't need to. But when you get into the playoffs and you got to pull out your best cards and you got to use them, they've been running a ton with this kids out of the backfields. Cam Miller, the QB, has been using his legs plenty in recent games and in the playoffs, Jovan. And I don't think that slows down at all. If anything, I think it picks up. And I think he's in for a big game on the ground here using his legs for North Dakota State. And I do think they'll be winning this game at points at least. So it's not like they're going to be playing from behind the whole time. But Cam Miller, that's a very high rushing yard square. And for good reason, he's going off tonight, the QB for North Dakota State. He's going to carry this offense, utilizing his legs, looking like Riley Leonard out there on this rushing yard square.
100%. And I was looking for this because I've decided, executive decision, adding to the bowl game challenge and trying to find squares in this game too, since they're offering
As you
them.
should.
This one definitely is up there in contention. And I tried to look back. I was watching highlights of games. I was getting in the lab pretty deep randomly at last night. I was trying to look for any like X's and O's football reason of why he's going to rush or just kind of be the Riley Leonard type guy. It would seem to me, because what North Dakota State is doing is not only running him more in the last couple weeks of the season, but they're also running like just empty sets. It's like when they run these empty sets, that's when he's getting to run a lot more. And if you're playing Montana State has a ridiculous defense, and they've been so good at every single level, and North Dakota State's offensive line is not fantastic. What's a great way to counter that and get your guy in space? You run empty sets with a lot of QB run option out of that, especially for a team that's running a lot of man coverage. So, I mean, that makes all the sense in the world. And I am certainly taking this with you.
All right. Cam Miller, chat. Remember the name. This kid's going to turn into Lamar Jackson out there tonight. Okay?
Lamar.
All right. I got another square. It's nasty. I talked about the under in this game. I will be taking the under on the books, and I will be fading James Harden, who, if you've just watched James Harden or the NBA or, his squad of late, you've noticed that he looks like absolute shit. I'm trying to squeak in one more fade here until they turn it around. And who knows if he actually will turn it around fully. But James Harden tonight, he's been terrible. And with this low total, I'm not seeing him going off. And I love fading guys at these key numbers, whether at 19.5 or 24.5, where oh, James Harden to get 20 points looks so easy. Sure. Or it looks so easy to get 25 points if he's at 24.5. I think those are trappy lines that they're setting there for you. And James Harden to get a 20 piece who's been struggling immensely looks a little bit easy in the game of the night tonight against the T-Wolves, who have not played much defensive late. Like I said earlier, they've hit 6 straight overs in their last 6 games. So I think we get an under in this game. I think that total opening up at 211.5 is very telling and crazy. And James Harden is going to continue to struggle unless any changes are made. I'm not seeing him, pulling out his career from the fucking grave. He looks like shit right now. He looks terrible. I'm going to fade him one more time. I'm going to keep fading him until I see anything differently. Taking James Harden less than points.
Yeah. Never have to tell me twice to fade James Harden or take him, I guess. He randomly snuck his way into my PrizePicks. I forget what it's called, but the PrizePicks Wrapped, where he was one of my most taken players. And it's been pretty equal both sides. So I'm down to get involved for one more with you, especially when we're taking the under.
James Harden going 0-6 from 3. I hope so, man. The under's a good play, but the Clippers wouldn't be 20-15 without him. I mean, yeah, he's been an assist guy. He's been a rebounding machine, especially early on in the season. But points have been coming at a premium for him of late. I think that continues. I don't think he balls tonight at all in a game. I'm loving the under. We'll see how it goes. Okay. A couple follows coming in here. We got Stakey's coming in. We got WTF Skino coming in. We got Bash23NY coming in, dropping follows on the Twitch. Appreciate it, guys. W's. I saw another goat in chat. Snowman, what's up, Beast? How we doing? Good to see you. Okay. Jovan, let's go to your PrizePicks squares. Let's see what you're crafting up over there.
Ooh. Christopher Paul back on the sharp reports,
which,
knock on wood, whenever he's been on here, outside of when he got ejected that one time in the first quarter, it's been going pretty well. So, first of all, go ahead and take a look at that chart for yourself, Krabs. There's a lot of really, really odd 3-point squares up today, so I'm going to be spraying the board in that fashion. But Chris Paul, you want to know how many shots he made, period, in his last game against the Nuggets?
Take a guess and say it's probably something pretty low. How about 3?
How about 1? 1 total. You got a 1.5, 3 square up. Granted, you're going to get a lot of offensive squares. They'll look a little inflated, a little juiced when you're playing the Bulls because the totals are going to be high. We know what their defense is. It's not really a surprise, but they allow point guards to have an absolute field day, which I guess on paper, not that I don't like this angle too, but the easiest thing you would think in your mind is to go, okay, let's go Chris Paul assists because he's going to have plenty of chances and I guess transition to feed Wemby or whoever else, maybe the recipient of the passes, and the offense is going to be flowing, which I don't disagree with. But if you look at what Chris Paul has done against a lot of these teams that are weak in transition, weak at on-ball defense against point guards, that's when he's shooting. And it's been quite a bit, I guess, or quite a stretch of a week and a half where he hasn't played those teams, which is why the chart looks like it does. When you go back to some of these games against these weaker on-ball defenses, weaker transition defenses, this is when Chris Paul is pulling threes. So I made a comment, I think, the last time we took it because Chris Paul, whenever it seems like he has this weird 3-point square up, it turns green. I think that's the reason why, because I was looking at some of his games and he very often goes in these stretches where he's not really playing one of these teams consecutively or many of these teams consecutively. Now we're getting a stretch where he hasn't played one in a while. This is where Chris Paul is going to shoot. You could twist my arm for a lot of options in the Spurs today. Obviously, I'm taking him. Love the spot for him. Love the matchup. Chris Paul's got to be the guy. So I'm taking his threes.
I'm so in.
And yes, D-Wade, I don't want to let this get swept in chat either before we talk about it tomorrow, I assume. But the plan was always Kentucky ML on Saturday to hand the Gators their first loss and Gators ML tomorrow to hand Tennessee their first loss. So we'll get there.
Yeah, they're minus 2.5 against undefeated Tennessee tomorrow. Wow.
Yeah, we'll be seeing. I think it opened. They flipped the favorites too because I thought I saw they were dogs first. So not that it really affects my thinking of it, but all in, of course.
That's going to be a great game. Jeez.
Yeah, that'll be a great game. You know what else will be great? You know that 50-point square we have in the NBA Go Well, Krabs?
Don't be throwing around talking about that 50-point square unless you mean it.
I think we're on watch tonight for a Dame Lillard masterclass against the Raptors. Because
I fucking hope so.
Yeah, the Raptors are finally starting to get healthy, which you know what that means. Scotty Barnes in the lineup. Like you got Ochai Agbaji in there too, which like those are really good wing defenders, right? So not saying they're going to stop Giannis, but if there's any chance or any like matchup on the court that's a little more tilted, you know what it's going to be? It's going to be Damian Lillard against Emmanuel Quickly for a little bit of it. I assume they're going to switch different guys on him, but like the initial matchups are going to be him versus Emmanuel Quickly or Grady Dick or one of those guys that, I mean, they're baby food. You can only switch so many times because you got Giannis on the other side. You got Brook Lopez, who's going to space the floor for the bigs as well. He's going to be on Pirtle, whatever. But if there's a matchup on the court that just screams, this is the Damian Lillard takeover game, it's got to be this against the guards for the Raptors, which, again, like I wouldn't think this way if the Raptors were in, I don't know, their form like they were a couple weeks ago where you had no Scotty Barnes. You really didn't have like any strong wing defenders. So like Giannis could do whatever he wanted to that team. Now it's a little different. So now you kind of tilt the floor to where at the top of the key with the point guards, you're going to be absolute baby food. So like Damian Lillard, I think this is going to be, he also has a weird 3-pointer square up for what it's worth, like half the NBA. This is going to be where he takes over. He hasn't really been in Dame takeover mode for quite some time, really. A lot of that's been because Giannis has been so good and he's had great matchups. Tonight we're getting a Dame game. So yes, barbecue chicken, Soul's Hype. That's what we're getting from Quickly. That's what we're getting from Grady Dick. That's what we're getting for whoever's going to be on Damian Lillard tonight, because I think he spazzes.
Barbecue chicken alert. I just have Shaq's voice engraved in my brain saying that from the old 2K games.
Yeah.
Barbecue chicken alert. Yeah, he might have some people on that fucking alert or on that notice tonight in Toronto. That totals up, 5 points from the opener, 225.5 to 230 now. Love to see that. The Bucks have no reason laying 7.5 to anybody right now. I don't care if they're playing the shitty Toronto Raptors, right? All the signs are pointing towards Dame. Let's hope he can do the job.
That would be great.
Let's hope he can do the job. Okay. Come out in the zone, bang some threes. They go, man. It's barbecue chicken from there. Okay.
Shout out to Taco Lick.
Hope you're right. All right. Con Man, did I miss that subby talking about Tommy Malott? Also, Illinois State Redbirds have become a wagon recently. Let's find some winners. W. Con Man, we appreciate the subby. You're a beast. Got to shout out all the goats coming in here, resubbing on a Monday afternoon. Love to see it. At W. Mikey and Rav earlier today on TMA, getting the week started. Love to see that. And if you guys missed TMA with Mike and Rav, you can always go back and rewatch on the YouTube as well. Okay, go see what they're talking about. I'm sure they recap the weekends. I'm going to talk about some winners for tonight. Okay, Jovan. Love these squares, and I just still cannot stop thinking about the Spurs. Like I'll tell you right now, that's going in the squad rat poll.
Sure.
And we got some time now. We got about 20 minutes. Do we want to talk a little bit about PrizePicks squares or lineups? Do we want to talk a little bit about the college basketball slate today, NBA, NHL, Jovan? Where's the board pulling you today? What do you want to talk about?
Might be on the PP board. PP board. As much as I love the ice, I mean, there's one big game that we could talk about for a little bit, but I don't really have much else. Maybe we start on any other squares in that college football game, because I'll tell you there's one that is looking at me pretty funny that we haven't talked about yet.
Yeah, I would love to hear it. What do you got?
So they have Rohan Jones up there. He's the tight end for Montana State. He didn't play, I believe, from like Thanksgiving on until the last game, where he didn't even see a target. And I've been noticing with these bowl game squares, they put up their like initial batch of squares, right? And then these random, I guess, 20 to 30 yard guys that they put up kind of after the rest. I don't know if it's like a projection thing or it takes a little longer to find these guys, but they put them up and then they spawn green with 30 yard catches in one drive. This guy can make a lot of sense, especially being that, I don't know if people know this, but this game's in Frisco. So you'd think it's going to be a little warmer than either of these places, but it's not, because it's like 25 degrees there right now. So who's a quarterback's best friend when they're in the cold? It's a tight end. I want to say they're probably not going to be slinging rock too far down the field, especially because it's not only cold, but it's also really, really windy there. So if they're going to do anything in the pass game, they're going to have to at some point, probably from this tight end. And looking at the square, I mean, he didn't, again, see a single target, single involvement in the offense last week. He's coming off of an injury, so I mean that was probably part of it too. But putting up square probably for a reason.
I mean, sign me up, dude. I'm so in. Rowan Jones, more than 22.5 receiving yards.
It's like we got a backyard breaks raid.
No way we got the backyard breaks boys in here up and moving.
Let's go.
We do. Party of 134. What's up, squads?
Shout out the goats.
You guys get your card fix in? Shout out backyard breaks.
Let's
fucking go. You guys trying to lock in some winners now? Stick around if you're trying to lock in some winners for this afternoon. If you just got your pack break fix, now you can get your sports betting fix here, or your PrizePicks fix, DFS. Rowan Jones, more than 22.5 receiving yards. Now, Jovan, I'm taking that square with something, but there's a couple other guys that I wanted to mention. You got Bryce Lance. We can't go this whole show without talking about Bryce Lance. That's the guy who had that crazy touchdown last week that got them into the championship. And I think I mentioned it already. It's Trey Lance's brother.
Yeah.
Crazy. That's Trey Lance's brother, Bryce Lance, who, by the way, is a darn good wide receiver. Maybe Trey Lance should have taken after his little brother because maybe he'd be in the NFL a little bit longer. And after seeing him throw the football against my Commanders this weekend, missing wide open touchdowns, he might end up being a wide receiver soon, just like his brother. But Bryce Lance, Jovan, this guy, he's coming off a 125 piece. I've watched his yards getting bumped up all day today. Now, it is one of the more popular squares today in college football, but do you think it's worth giving Bryce Lance a look, or are we just sticking with our QB rushing yards and going about our day?
Yeah, I don't have anything wrong with Bryce Lance, especially when you're an experienced team with an experienced quarterback and he's your number one guy. I do definitely have my concerns about just how good the pass game is going to be on either side, which is why I kind of lent myself to a more underneath option, I guess, on the Montana State side. But you're not going to hear me say anything bad about Bryce Lance.
Okay. Have to mention this guy because his name is fucking awesome. Taco Dowler, receiver on Montana State. I mean, his name is literally Taco. You know what I want to do? I want to fade his ass and take his less than receiving yards, especially after last week. But
Dude,
you know anything about Taco? If you heard anything about Taco and just want to go ahead and shout him out, great name.
He's free according to Twitter. That's about all I know.
Okay, so I'll go ahead and lock in the less then. Perfect. Good. Are there any other Taco squares up? Oh, he's got a reception square up too that looks free as ma. Free as ma. Dude.
Jesus.
You seeing that?
Yeah, I'm seeing it.
I mean, typically these games are like pretty high scoring and fun. There's a lot of action. I'm a little bit worried about Taco maybe breaking one. Maybe it's fading his receptions.
Could be.
You're thinking maybe just stick to the Twitter fade and take it as less than receiving yards?
I mean, the receptions is what all of Twitter is taking. So,
No way.
Twist my arm there.
All right. We'll put that in there. At least I will for now. We got him. We got Rowan Jones. Are there any other squares in chat? Now is your time to shine. Let me know if you guys have anything you like for college football today. Oh, Adam took his over 2.5 receptions. Shit.
Don't forget, Krabs. We still got a whole NBA 3-point board up there too, with a lot of squares you'd probably get involved in.
We do, and I'm more than down to diversify, Jovan. Do not get me wrong. Let me just make sure because there are some new squares and categories up, at least from when I looked last time. I want to make sure we're not missing anything. Oh, good. They put that Mitch Jeter square back up. Jesus, man. Dude turned into freaking Justin Tucker in his prime. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything else that I really want to add from college football. Maybe we stick with those two guys, Taco and Rowan, and we go about our day.
Yeah.
I feel like taking Trey Lance's brother is probably a little bit too square. You want to go to the NBA and take a peep at some of these other squares that were looking at you funny?
Yeah, I mean, I could start you off here. Seaburnat's talking about it, but
love it.
D'Lo's got a 2.5, 3 square up. That is absurd. Granted, it's kind of like Kyle Kuzma yesterday because there was some shorthanded or the shorthanded nature of the game. You got a couple guys out on the side, so like it makes sense that he's going to be upjacking probably some more shots, and the matchup makes sense too. That you're also playing the Pacers, who, if you want to take any 3-point props against them, they always have red squares against them, and they have printed as of late, especially because their defense is horrible. But can't ignore the square. Absurd square to be up. So yeah, I'll be taking that too.
Well, if that's Seaburnat's nasty daily square of the day, first off, we're putting that shit in there, no questions asked. I'm happy that got brought up because I noticed that. And people are hip to it too. They're taking his points today. But you're bringing up that 3 square, which is also very popular. This is his 4th game back on the Nets. I did a little bit of reconnaissance on this earlier, Jovan, because I was very confused as to why his numbers were so high. I thought maybe it's his debut. Nope, not his debut. He's played 3 games, and actually in that last game, he only played 14 minutes and got hurt or something.
Yeah, he got hurt. I mean, it's a question of if he's even going to play today. But if he does, obviously, we'll be right.
You want to take his threes or you want to take his points?
I mean, you got to take the 3 square.
Okay.
Have to.
Okay. And that's all D'Lo does. He's not getting in the fucking rack. All right.
He's been dishing quite a bit recently. I know that's been a very popular angle on Twitter, and people have been cashing out. So we'll see how it plays out. But yeah, he's hitting 3 threes.
Okay. You like the Caps today? Side note.
I mean, I do, kind of. I don't know that I'm going to take it. I don't really want to get caught up in fading the Sabres when they're on a losing streak. Not that wasn't profitable the first time they're on a losing streak, but now it seems like they're kind of dipping back into a shitstorm, frankly. So we'll see where it ends, but I don't know. You know, my brain's wired like yours. It's like I don't want to just fade terrible teams continually.
I know. I've been seeing Bradley Beal get a lot of shit talking to him on Twitter today, which is always good. Don't want to take him, but I just wanted to let that be known. I've been seeing a lot of people talking shit about Bradley Beal and his name, and I love to see it. I love to see it.
Yeah, I mean, that's your Super Bowl, literally.
I mean, he sucks. Like, I'm just happy people finally get to notice it now. When he's on the court, the team does worse. It's been a thing for a decade.
Now, I will have to say, it did cross my mind to take him today.
Oh, did it now?
Yeah, because he's the reason why he's getting all that talk in his name is because they benched him. So like now he's coming off the bench, and it's going to be, I don't know about the main playmaker, but like he's going to have the reins a little bit with the second unit. So maybe that's probably good for the team, but it's probably good for him too.
Yeah. Well, that's a very expensive bench player, if I could say so myself.
It is.
Sheesh.
Just a bit.
I feel like if they knew he was coming off the bench, they probably wouldn't have paid him all that money. Although I guess it was us who paid him, and he's still writing out that contract. Nice.
Yeah.
Happy to have that off the books. All right, let's stop talking about that bozo. That we're not taking him today. Come on, you could take him if you want, but and you're welcome for chirping because now he's about to be free. What else is on the board though? And look, I would love to diversify and put something besides a 3 square. I feel like we're testing our luck taking 2 college football and 2 threes made squares, but if you've got one top of mind, I'll hear you out. Is there another weird one up there?
There's a couple weird ones that are still up there. There's a lot.
Mike Conley?
Mike Conley is a little odd, Krabs. Yeah.
Patrick Williams?
Mike Conley's up there with weird squares. Ben Matherin's up there with weird squares. Brooke Lopez has got a weird square.
Yes, he does.
I mean, I know we're on Lillard, but kind of for the same reason, I think the Wings are going to have a little more trouble with the Raptors. So when you take the point guards and Pirtle, those are the weakest points of the defenses. So I would think it's going to be a lot of Dame and a lot of Brooke Lopez spacing the floor. It's like that doesn't fully coincide with Dame. I'd be fine with taking Brooke too, and that square is absurd. But
that is a crazy square.
Yeah, jeez. I'm still down for that square, even though we're taking Dame.
McConnell PRA or points. I think that's the one that Adam brought up earlier today.
Yeah.
That I wanted to back pockets. Maybe we look at that. There's so many weird 3-point squares, Jovan. Jesus.
Yeah.
I mean, what I'd rather do is, take 1 or 2 of them in a lineup with a couple others and spread them out a little bit, right?
Of course.
TJ McConnell, 8.5 points. What are you trying to take for him, Adam? Because he's got a lot of squares up, man. Bam 3, fully red. Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe look at that one while I look at this TJ McConnell action here. But
I've seen the Bam 3. The Bam 3 is up like every other day. Guys can never pick the spot. It's a little tougher with Jimmy now because I don't really know, or with no Jimmy now. I don't really know what they're going to do with some of these like worse defensive teams. Now, I will say, I mean, the Heat, somebody's got to do it today because I don't know if you saw their last performance, Krabs, but
the Heat,
yeah, it was bad. Really, really bad at every level. That was their first like full game without Jimmy since all this has happened, and you got Cam Brink sitting courtside, and they're getting 40-pieced by the Jazz at home.
That's a tough look.
Just unbelievable. So, I mean,
that's a tough look.
Even if they don't win the game tonight, which I kind of sneakily think they might, somebody's bouncing back and having a pretty good game. Maybe it's Bam. It's probably going to be Tyler Hero, but somebody's got to do it.
I thought about taking the Heat, and then I remembered the Kings just fired their coach, and now they're streaking, and I will let that play out.
Yeah, I said the same exact thing. I'll tell you a square that's pretty weird, though, that you probably could take if you don't want to take that Bam 3. His assists are up there. And again, makes sense because the role is going to switch a little bit now that Jimmy's not a part of the fold. But against a Kings team where you can only assume whenever they play the Kings specifically, but a team that's built like the Kings, they let him work the offense a little more at the top of the key and kind of facilitate from there. Makes basketball sense, but that square is also absurd.
That is insane. That 4.5 assists for Bam. Sheesh.
Yeah.
I also just saw TJ McConnell's PRA get bumped down right in front of my face. So that's a sign to keep that out.
JH.
McConnell PRA just got bumped. Yeah, it did, Jake. Yep. I just noticed that too. Not good. Would you rather take his 3 for Bam, or would you rather take that assists?
I mean, I've never really been able to this season. Like he's always got a weird half a 3 square up there, and it's been read a million times. I have not been great at picking out what the good day for it is. So I would much rather play the assists personally, but it's because I'm scored.
Okay.
If we want to diversify, Chaco mentioned a square that I think got swept and no one saw, but it was Lindgren goals allowed.
Oh, they have goals
they put
allowed
those up
now.
They put those up, did they?
Wow, I've been waiting for these goods. Great fucking work, man.
I just hate taking it against the Sabres, though, dude.
I feel like with that square, you just got to trust.
Yeah.
Lindgren?
Yeah. It's not my favorite, but I'd be in.
You like points in that? You're just worried the Sabres because that's what they do.
Well, I hate taking – there's always, like, weird goals allowed squares, but when it's against a team that it, like, makes sense, a.k.a. when you're taking, like, goals allowed more than, I guess, when they're playing, like, a good team like the Avs or you're taking a goals allowed less than and it's the Sabres or the Ducks or any other terrible team, makes me like it a little less, but still be in on it.
Kind of like the under in this game, too. After the Caps was just involved in an 11-goal affair.
Yeah. Against the Rangers,
I'll tell you what, Jovan, I'll tell you what feels right. You let me know how this sounds. I feel like fading Taco might be forced and putting 2 plays in that game that are already, aside from the Sharp Report plays in that game.
Right.
And we take out Taco, we keep Bam assist in there, and we put in Lindgren.
Okay. I'd be down with that.
So you got Rohan Jones, more than 22.5 receiving yards. Charlie Lindgren, less than 2.5 goals allowed. Excuse me. And then D. Russ, more than 2.5 threes. And then Bam assists.
Could so be in on that. I'm taking it.
I like that diversified portfolio, 4-piece.
It's so diversified.
I like that.
Just incredibly diverse.
I'll read it off one more time, chat. Rowan Jones, more than 22.5 receiving yards. Charlie Lindgren, less than 2.5 goals allowed. D'Angelo Russell, more than 2.5 3-pointers. And Bam, more than 4.5 assists. I love that. I love that, and I'm in. Locked. All right. Chad, you guys want the link for that or what? You guys want the link for that puppy? Let me see if I can find it. Shout out Cooper Cup from costing me tens of thousands of dollars, by the way. I know I've talked about it before, but every other play hits in the season-long NFL well. So yeah. Shout out Cooper Cup.
Slept on. So slept on. Shout out Trent, too. That tailed both
actually,
of you guys.
shout out Trent.
His shout out count.
Trent. Yes. Actually, shout out Trent for cashing his goat whale. Unbelievable. And I actually had a couple $100 on that, too. And when I opened up the app today, it was wondering why I had more coins in it. I realized it was literally because of Trent. So shout out Trent. He's been on Fuego recently. And now he gets to cool off in the Bahamas and relax like a king. He deserves it. He deserves it.
Goated. And also goated.
Trent, good shit.
Chris Middleton out tonight, Krabs.
Oh, that's huge. Is that new news?
That's new news because everybody in chat's talking about they just took all the buck squares off the board. So there's going to be some adjustments, maybe more questions to be asked for the goat whale square.
I was going to say, good thing I already locked in the Sharp Report 4, man.
Oh, my, 25 piece from Souls.
No way, we just got 25 subbies coming in from Soul Hype.
Souls hit a whale, I think. I think he hit a crazy demon entry. I'm pretty sure that was him in my DMs that sent it to me over the weekend.
Dude.
So I know he's in Aruba, basically.
No way, we just got a 25U sub whale from Soul Hype. Can you
230X,
clap it up?
What a goat.
230X from Soul Hype? No fucking way, dudes. That's unbelievable. Congrats, bro. And thank you so much for the subbies. Chat, you guys better get bricked up, drop some W's, because Soul Hype just gave out 25 subbies.
Goat.
25 piece. Those do not grow on trees. Okay? Soul Hype, let me know if you need any help, although it seems like you don't. If you got any plays you're eyeing over today, hit us up. We'd be happy to help. And he just resubbed himself. Let's fucking go, dude.
Let's go.
I should be asking you this, though, Soul Hype. Do you have any squares today? Since you're the guy cash. You got any squares today? Let me know. Love that. Let's fucking go, boys. All right. Well, W Craft Sesh on PrizePicks. I locked in the Sharp Report 4-man. I locked in that 4-man lineup as well that I dropped the link for that we just crafted up, Jovan. Maybe now we craft up a little squad ride action. We get to the most important part of our life, most important part of the day. You in?
Let's do it.
Let's run it. Gootsy, run that shit. I want to see that damn tray. All right, chat. We got off to a good start in 2025 with a squad ride W, and then Ohio State killed it all on Friday. So let's get back in the saddle here. Let's lock in, and let's find a winner for tonight. Jovan, I would love to put the Spurs in here. I've said it before. I'll say it again.
Yeah. Get the Spurs up and moving.
-3.
Yeah.
Always got to make sure there's no BS line movements in the NBA with all the injuries and such.
Still see 3 right now.
Good. Chat, now's the time to let us know what plays you love that we talked about today that you want to see in the squad ride poll. Now is your time. Show yourself. Okay? Let me know in the chat what plays you love that we talked about the most. Please feed us, brother, the DJ Fitz way. Goods, you geek me. High Cheddar coming in resubbing. Love to see that from High Chats. Yes. Goods. Rutgers. Well, do we want to put Rutgers in here, or do we keep it out because the Ace Bailey stuff? Or not Ace Bailey, excuse me. Jeez. Dylan Harper. The Dylan Harper news. I would love to do a quick search and see if I can find anything else about Dylan Harper. Some people are saying he should be back tonight, but I haven't seen anything at all.
I think he was sick the last game, so I would assume he's probably fine by now.
Okay. All right. I mean, I like it better with him not playing at that number, but if you love it enough, we could still put it in there. But I'm down to go look elsewhere, Jovan.
I mean, that's your call. I still love fading teams off of record-setting offensive performances, really, no matter what.
Okay. Also, a very good point. I also thought your C-Law play should not go. Should not get swept.
Of course.
That C-Law play. Somebody was bringing up in chat. We did take C-Law for the squad ride at one point. It did not go too well. Maybe C-Law can get their revenge. They can get their lick back. I'd be down to put them in there, Jovan. Plus,
there were favorites. There were favorites in that game. Sela is such a better spoiler underdog than favorites. It's the same thing every year.
Let's put +3. I'm seeing 2.5s, 3s, 3.5. So we'll meet in the middle there.
Yeah.
We'll put it at 3. Love that play. So we got the Spurs. We got Sela involved. Jovan, if I'm looking at my favorite plays for today, I'd say I'd probably want to put Rutgers in here still.
I'd be down for that.
Okay. +1.5. Let me check the Carfax. Yeah, still 1.5. Carfax have been checked. Okay. We could run with those 3 plays. I got no qualms with it. I like that Houston play as well. I just like your Spurs and Selah looks better, but I'm not going to tell you no if you really want to put Houston in here if you're feeling it.
I mean, I think you know my confidence level when I put Fade and the Frogs on here. So that can be your call. Whatever plays you like there.
You like that better than the Spurs and Selah?
I mean, yeah.
Okay. We're putting it in there then. And we'll let the chat decide. Plus 18.5.
Minus.
I'm in.
Yeah.
Yep. Good. All right, chat. Let's run that with those 4 plays for the squad ride today. 4 plays, 4 winners. We got the Spurs -3. We've got Selah +3 in CBB. We got Rutgers +1.5 and Houston -18.5 against the Frogs. Get involved. Please vote. Like Flatwoods Fellas saying in the chat, please go vote. If you're watching on YouTube, that's awesome. W Life Hack. But you got to get your ass over to the Twitch page so you can lock in your vote in the squad ride poll. Get involved. Okay? Do not just sit there. Hurry up. Go, go, go. Just like DJ Fitz is saying in the chat. Hurry up. Go, go, go. Get involved. Chew, I know you're blown. We're fading your Bulls, but has to be done, my man. Has to be done. Okay? Thoughts on the Ohio State-Minnesota game? Yeah, go read a book instead of betting on that one because whatever it does to you, it's not going to be good for you. Go improve yourself. Go work on yourself. Go read a book is the advice I have for that game.
You know Ohio State's going to be the greatest team of all time tonight.
Probably. They're going to look healthy as an ox, and they're going to win by 20. Yep.
100%.
Unbelievable. We got Chewy boots on ground tonight at the game. Let's go, Chew. Sure we can. Chat, get those votes in. It's looking like it's going to be the Spurs, which, to be honest with you, I'd typically be pretty blown about a one-sided vote. But today, I just got a weird feeling about the Spurs. Listen to Jovan talk about them. I feel like that's a winner. And I'm not surprised to see that winning the squad ride poll. Good.
Go.
People loving that Selah play. The Sharps are coming out of the fucking woodworks in chat, Jovan. They're loving that Selah play from you. Vintage.
Yeah. I mean, that's like it's hard to put it into words and compare it to something because if it were 2 teams that people actually knew, that would be like one of the most absurd lines of all time. But I guess not too many people know the context. I'm guessing everybody splooging in chat knows the context.
They're locked. They know.
Yeah.
And we know it's about to be the Spurs because they're running away with this puppy. Spurs -3 for the squad ride. Make sure you get your CP3 1.5 threes locked in. Don't just sit there. Okay, responsibly tail the Spurs tonight for the squad rides and get involved on the PrizePicks board. Some of those squares we talked about today. Plenty of ammunition for anybody out there trying to make some coins on PrizePicks. And you can always go back, rewatch on YouTube, and you can craft up your own lineups as well. You can take some bits and pieces from Jovan, from me, throughout the show, some stuff you liked that you heard, throw them all together in your own, lineup. You don't have to follow it to a T. Okay, but I will post those couple lineups that we crafted up today, the Sharp reports and that 4-man later this afternoon on X. Okay, so if you want to tail those, I'll drop the link and everything over there on X. All right, gents. W Monday, W Spurs -3 squad ride votes. We'll meet you guys at the cash counter when they come through and win big. CP3 step up tonight. It's your time to shine, my man. And we'll catch you guys tomorrow, same time.